we're going to start with the simplification stuff. If at any point you have a question, please just ask. Please also just, if you are going to ask a question, can we all just read the chat and can we all just listen to each other's questions carefully? Because we don't want to repeat questions and have the same thing said over and over again. Okay, so we just need to listen to each other. So we are wanting to simplify this. What we want to do here is we want to identify which terms can be simplified. So if we have a look here, I've got two terms in this expression. This is my first term, whoops, and that's my second term. And if I have a look, it's the first term that I can simplify. Now, in order to simplify this, I need to multiply that 3 to the 2x and to the 3. Now, if you want to, you can have like a little side bit to your working out where you can do your multiplication. If you're happy to do it in your head and write it down, that's absolutely fine as well. So we've got a 3 times 2x, and we've got a 3 times 3. So if we say 3 times 2x, we get 6x, and 3 times 3 is 9. Cool. So when I go and simplify that first term, I get, oh no, I don't get 3x, so sorry. I get 6x plus 9 plus 1. Now we always double check and see if I've got any like terms that I can add or subtract. Now in this case, I've got an x term, so the 6x, as well as some constant terms. So remember, constant is a term that is just a number, it's got no variable. And so in this case, I can add the 9 and the 1. And so my final simplified answer is 6x plus 10. So I was seeing that sort of coming up in the chat. Well done, everyone. 6x plus 10. All righty. Cool, well done. So what I'm going to ask you to try is question 2. So simplify what needs to be simplified. So basically what I mean by that is we have two terms here. Whoopsie daisies. Two terms. And we want to multiply the 2 into the first bracket and the negative 2 into the second bracket. So give it a try. Pop your answers in the chats as you go. If you have questions, again, raise your hand or put it in the chat and we will help you.
Okay, so some hands are up. June.
Hi, ma'am.
Evening, how are you?
I'm late, so can you please go to question 1?
Okay, so what I will do is I will, whoopsie daisies, I will just make this a little bit smaller so that everyone who's doing question 2 can see, but then you can see question 1 as well. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am, it's fine.
Cool.
June, you can also take a screenshot. Hey,
Okay.
you can always take a screenshot and then like this, you can copy it later, like on your book if you want to.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, is that fine, June? Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am, you can move on.
Okay, thank you. Snentlantla, on you, girl. You have to click on that little box that you see to talk to us. Snentlantla, are you managing? There's a little box that is popping out on your, there we go. Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
Evening.
I'm also late. Can you please go to question 1 again?
Okay, so guys, I'm going to question 1. You need to take a screenshot and then we're going to have a look at question 2. Okay, so I'll leave it there for like 30 seconds. Take a screenshot and then I'm going to go back to question 2.
Snentlantla, are you okay now? Did you take a screenshot or do you have a question?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect, girl.
Thank you. Alrighty, guys. So let's see what's happening here. So I'm seeing some answers starting to come in. Let's start to go through this so that we can see how we're feeling about it. So I've given you a little hint in that you needed to go and multiply your coefficients into the bracket. So again, if you want, do a little side sort of scribble for all you're working out. For my first term, I needed to say 2 times 3x, and I needed to say 2 times negative 1. Okay, now remember, when we multiply negatives, we have to be careful of the signs. Then in term 2, I had a negative 2 times x and a negative 2 times positive 3. So we need to sort out those multiplications. Again, you don't have to do the stuff on the side that I'm doing, but it might help you just to organize your thoughts. So 2 times 3x is 6x. Now be careful, when we have a positive times a negative, we know we get a negative, and then the 2 times 1 is 2. So that's from my first term, so I can start writing that down for myself. And then when I go and multiply in the negative 2 in the second term, I've got negative 2 times x, which is a negative 2x, and negative 2 times positive 3, which is negative 6. So just be careful of your signs. So I keep writing all of those simplified terms down, so the minus 2x and the minus 6. And then remember, what I need to do is I need to double check for like terms. So in this case, my like terms are the x terms, and then the constant terms, which are the minus 2 and the minus 6. Oh no, there we go, minus 2 and minus 6. Now we add the like terms. Now remember, if you would like to, you can write the like terms next to each other so that you have them grouped for yourself. You don't have to do this. If you're highlighting or underlining or whatever you're doing, you can just go like that. But we've got 6x minus 2x, which is 4x. Now be careful, you've got 2 negatives here. So if we think of this as a number line, right, this is always quite helpful if we struggle to subtract values. If I'm already starting at negative 2, and I just need to get enough numbers here, that's a 4, I'm sorry. Negative 5. Oh, my number line's really going a bit weird. Alrighty. If I'm starting at negative 2 and I'm taking away another 6, I need to go towards more negative values. And when I take away negative 6, I end up at a negative 8. And so that is my final simplified answer. All right, so those of you that put that 4x minus 8 in the chats, well done. And guys, again, if you aren't allowed to use a calculator in a question and you do struggle with these addition and subtractions, draw a little number line for yourself. It will help you immensely. Okay, I saw Kia said number lines are the best. They really are. And so use them to your advantage. All righty. Okay, so let's have a look at our third question. If you haven't got that, remember, take a screenshot. And now we go over to question 3. Now it's really, really important that we know which terms we need to multiply, or which values rather we need to multiply into the bracket, because that is the first thing. If you want to think of it in terms of BODMAS, remember, multiplication needs to come before any additional subtraction. So what we want to do is we want to know which terms we have. I've got a term 1 and term 2. Now those terms have to stay separate until I have multiplied in the negative 2. I must not say 5 minus 2 and then only multiply in. It is the negative 2 that I'm multiplying into this bracket. Okay, so I've given you a little help here. Have a go by yourselves, put your answers in the chat, or raise your hand and ask your questions, and let's see how you go.
Zile, would you like to unmute yourself on your side?
Yes. Afternoon, ma'am. I would like to ask the subtraction sign behind the brackets. Do we simplify it first, or do we multiply it just like that?
Okay, so when you say simplify, do you say 5 minus 2 first?
Exactly.
Okay, no. So the 5 minus 2, the 5 and then the 2 in the bracket are actually separate terms. So I need to keep them separate. What I basically need to imagine is this negative sort of separating my expression up. And what I want to first do is make each term as simple as possible before I start adding and subtracting. So that minus I'm going to deal with later. What I first want to do is multiply the -2 into this bracket. That's the first thing, because remember, the multiplication must be done first. Then I will come back to the minusing and adding.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
good, well done. Okay, just in the chat, I see we don't understand. I'm going to explain it one more time, so please listen up. What we need to remember is that in an expression is made up of multiple terms. Okay, so what this negative does is it separates my terms, and I want to simplify the term that has the multiplication in it. Remember BODMAS? Yolanda spoke about this last week as well. When we are talking about BODMAS, multiplication has to come first. So we first want to multiply the -2 into the bracket. I will deal with the subtraction later. So your first step here should be timesing the -2 with the x and timesing the -2 with the +2. Okay, so I've told you what your first step needs to be. So let's have a look here. If that is your first step, that means the 5 is going to just stay there for now. I will deal with it in a second. -2 times x is -2x. And -2 times a +2, we know a positive times a negative is a negative, and 2 times 2 is 4. From that point, I can now go and find my like term. So I've got the 5 and the -4, and then the -2x is a completely separate group of terms by itself. And so I can only add the constants. 5 minus 4 is 1. And then I've got the -2x. If you write this in a different order and you put -2x plus 1, both are absolutely fine. Okay. So those of you who've gotten something slightly different, it seems what happened was you didn't hear what I said when I said we have to keep those terms separate. You cannot say 5 minus 2 first. They are different terms. We must keep them separate and do the multiplication first. Okay.
Hi, Tabby.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. I don't understand like the whole thing.
Okay, I need a little bit more than that. What's confusing you?
Like, ma'am, like I don't understand how do you simplify this? Like, obviously, what must when you start you start with brackets.
Mm-hmm.
But here we didn't start with brackets.
Okay, we did start with the brackets here because what I did was I took this situation and I said, okay, I first need to do the multiplication. Then I only dealt with the subtraction. So I did do the brackets first. I did do the multiplication first.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Now I
okay, so we
understand.
needed to do that multiplication first. That was the very first thing we needed to do.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Pleasure.
You guys are doing so well. Sorry, I just want to make a comment that you guys are doing really well. So remember that Teacher Sam already went through, I think it's 3 lessons already. Hey, Teacher Sam, talking about simplifying and this. So some of you are still new. Some of you maybe didn't attend the first class. So it would really, really help to always check on the website to go and catch up, okay? Especially specifically if you know that we're doing a topic that you found it in the middle, because then you can understand better and you won't make mistakes. So we love when you ask questions, but at the same time, Teacher Sam needs to make sure that she can get on with the new work of what you need to learn, okay? So I'm just making that clear for everyone that if you did not listen to Teacher Sam's last lessons, please do so. Okay, it will help you.
Yeah, guys, it is really important. Like, unfortunately, we can't be repeating lessons. And so this is all been recorded for you. So you are more than welcome to go on the website and have a look, okay? Righto. Let's have a look at question 4, which is 12x plus 6y divided by 3. Longile, I see your hand up. You just need to unmute yourself here.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, on question 3, I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask that you don't do 2 times 1 and
Wait.
2 times 2.
Okay, so the 2 times 1, are you talking about this one over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so that is what we do. It's essentially, if I just do that little multiplication on the side, it's a minus 2 times 1x. And so you are actually saying minus 2 times 1, and that's where I get the minus 2x from.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good, well done. Well done. Oh, English tonight. Okay, guys, so let's have a look at our last one here. This is a fraction. Now, whenever we've got a fraction, one of the ways we can deal with it is to separate the fraction. And that would be my very first step here. I'm going to separate my numerator to be 12x divided by 3 plus 6y divided by 3. Because this then means I can go and simplify each fraction individually. Okay, now, when we are dividing with fractions, what we want to do is we want to first deal with trying to simplify these numbers over here. So if you just ignore the x for a second and you ask yourself what 12 divided by 3 is, so how many times does 3 divide into 12? I can see some answers coming in the chat here. It is 4. And so we have 4x. The x stays as it is because I'm not dividing by another x. I'm not timesing by another x. It's just going to stay there. I haven't done anything with it. But then when we go over to the second term, I've now got 6y divided by 3. So if I look at these numbers, I need to ask myself, how many times does 3 divide into 6? And so the answer, as I can see everyone saying, is 2. Again, I can't do anything with that y. It's just going to stay there. Now, I can't add those terms together because they are not like terms. And so that's my final answer. So well done, everyone. I see those correct answers coming through. That's awesome. Well done.
Well done, my people. Well done. Getting there.
Okay, and guys, it is very important that you're practicing this stuff. And so if you haven't watched those videos, as Yolanda said, please go do it on the website. Alrighty. Okay. So we're gonna, that was just a bit of a, you can simplify, you've got this, keep practicing. But we are going to move on to equations now. We're going to keep it very simple for this first lesson. So hopefully we're all going to feel super confident moving into equations. There's a couple of things we need to remember when we start solving equations that is very important. And those are the 2 things I've sort of listed here. So again, take a screenshot so that you have them. One of the big things when we solve equations is we need to use inverse operations. Now that sounds like a lot of words, but basically inverse means opposite. And operation just means plus minus, I can't spell opposite, plus minus times or divide. Now you'll see what I mean when we put this into practice. But basically, if your original equation said plus, you're now going to minus. If your original equation said times, to solve, you're going to divide. And what we also need to remember is that what we do on one side of an equation, we need to do on both sides of the equation, because an equation is something that is equal on both sides. So if I'm going to change one side, I have to remember to change the other side in exactly the same way in order to keep it equal. Alrighty. So let's have a look at a nice, easy one to start with. So we're solving for x. So we've got x plus 2 equals 8. Now, I think that most of you could probably tell me this answer without needing to do any working out. All right. So 2 seconds, have a think about that. And what would we need to add to 2 in order to get 8? Awesome,
get
guys.
8.
Well,
6.
Right, well done, everyone. 6. Okay, now I'm gonna pick on someone here. Vukile, I'm gonna pick on you, and if you don't want to answer, you can absolutely say no. Vukile said 8 minus 2 equals 6. So if you would like to, can you explain to us why you said that? If I hear silence, I will take over. But if you would like to explain to us, I'd really love to know why you said 8 minus 2 to get your answer of 6.
So I have a lot of hands. I have Tando, Esam Tepi, or I guess you guys want to answer this question. Teacher Sam, is it okay if I can choose anyone?
Absolutely.
Okay. Nentlantla, let's go. You were the first here. So just unmute on your side and let's see.
We have to start to have x plus 2 is equal to 8. So we have to, in that x, we put in 6 plus 2 is equal to 8.
Awesome. Well done.
Well done, girl.
Well done. Okay. Right. So guys, what is really important is that whole idea of using the opposite operation. Okay. So if we now want to try and solve this in a more mathematical way, rather than us just saying, well, I know the answer is 6, so I'm just going to write down 6, especially when these equations start to become a little bit harder, we need to use those inverse operations. Now, remember I said inverse just means opposite. So if we are originally saying something plus 2, the goal of an equation is to get x alone, because remember the instruction said solve for x. So if this is my x over here, I essentially want to somehow get rid of that plus 2 so that x is standing alone. That's what solve for x means, get x alone. So I am going to subtract 2 on both sides, because that will allow me to have only x on the left. And so what I end up with is x is equal to 8 minus 2. It's allowing my equation to stay balanced. It's allowing me to get x alone. And so what I have is that x is equal to that 6 that you also wonderfully told me x is equal to. And that is an inverse operation, essentially. I was originally adding 2 to the thing I didn't know. And so if I want to get the thing I don't know alone, I'm going to use those inverse operations. Okay. Can we just get a thumbs up, thumbs down if we feel okay about this? We're going to do lots more practice of this. Okay.
Okay, let's vote. Charlotte, I see you. I see you. I hope you got that one right. I hope you got it right. Remember, if you didn't get it right, please, guys, do corrections. And remember, we listen to Teacher Sam, right? Because when you listen, it means that on the next question, you actually can try it by yourself. So let's do this. Let's see. I see those hands.
Guys.
Yes, my people. Well
Well
done.
done. Oh, Yolanda and I are on the same page tonight. Right, guys, well done. Okay, so let's have a look at the second one. The operation that we have here is a little bit different. The last one was a plus. Now we've got a minus. Again, I 100% know that all of you can tell me what x is here just by looking at this equation. But let's see how we would need to do it if we were using inverse operations. Okay, so if I want to use my inverse operations here, remember the goal is to get x alone. Now, if you struggle to sort of figure out which operations you need to deal with, what you can do is highlight x and then see, okay, well, I can see that x is being, or x has 2 subtracted from it, which means that I'm going to want to add 2 on both sides. And so what I have is x is equal to 8 plus 2. That's using my inverse operations. So I've got x is equal to 10, which all of you are putting in that chat, and I'm loving to see. Just quickly, because I've used it here and I didn't use it earlier, these 3 little dots, just that you know what they mean, basically means therefore. And so what you're saying is because I've added 2 to 8, I can therefore say that x is equal to 10. Okay, it's just if I use it, that's what it means. I don't want you to be confused by those 3 little dots. Right, well done, guys.
And my people. I'm dancing today. I am
Yeah, Lebohang's
dancing.
also dancing.
Yeah, I see Lebohang. Lebohang is like, yes, ma'am, I'm on fire also. Let's do this, my people.
Okay, guys. I don't know why there's a W there. So sorry. Let's see what happens now in question 3. Now, can someone tell me in the chat what operation is happening between the 3 and the x? So 3x means that I'm doing something with those 2 numbers. What operation is it?
Let's go. Snentant, I'm happy with that comment. Guys, let's go. Yes, my people. Yes, guys.
Okay, so exactly as you've all told me, if I really wanted to break this down further, I could say 3 times x equals 21. I don't really want to do that because that's a lot more writing, but it's very important that I know that it is 3 times x. Now, what that means is I can use my inverse operations. I can now say, okay, well, if I'm actually multiplying x by 3, in order to get x alone, I want to divide by 3 because that's my inverse operation. What that does is it says, okay, well, 3 divided by 3, essentially they cancel out to give me 1x. But remember we said what I do on one side of the equation, I must do on the other side. So I also need to divide 21 by 3. And we know 21 divided by 3 is 7. So you can leave your answer as 1x equals 7, but otherwise you can just write it as x equals 7. Okay, seeing all of these lovely answers. Well done, everyone. Okay, very quickly, and then we're going to take a bit of a brain break. The really nice thing about equations, like really, really nice thing, is you can always check your answer. And guys, when you are doing like a test or an exam or something like that, equations is the one section that we need to make sure we're checking properly. In order to check your answer, basically what you do is you use substitution. So if we want to check, we need to substitute. I'm just going to write sub, but substitution. And what that means is I need to take this answer for x that I've just gotten, and I want to replace the x in the original equation with it. So if I said 3 times 7, I want to check that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, because remember, that's what an equation is. It's balanced, they're equal. Now, if I do that quick multiplication, we know that 3 times 7 is 21, and 21 is definitely equal to 21. And so my answer of x equals 7 is right. And so you know then you've done it correctly. And this is why it's so nice and why we must check. If you don't get that your equation is equal on both sides, you know you've done something wrong, and you can go back into your working out and try and figure out where you went wrong. Okay, so remember, check your answers.
Right. Okay, so we have June on the line. June,
yes.
Would you like to talk to us? Do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, what you're trying to say, x it represents an unknown number.
Exactly. Well done.
Okay.
And we, by solving for x, are looking to see what that unknown number is. So in this case, the unknown number is 7.
Okay.
Well done.
Okay.
Good. Okay, Ntabi saying we're coming to you.
Ma'am, I just found the answer. You said the unknown number is 7.
Oh, yes. Nice.
Thank you. I just wanted
Good.
to ask.
And see, guys, this is why we listen to each other. Questions answered.
Okay, looks like everyone has been answered now. Well done, guys. Oh, well I like this class. I love you guys. Let's go. Let's go. Let's move on.
Okay, yeah, guys, come. We can do one more. I have faith and confidence in all of you. Right. We've got 2x plus 4 equals 14. Now I'm going to give you a chance to try this by yourselves. use your inverse operations and solve for x. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do it. So when I do my answer, just know that you don't necessarily have to do it the same way as me. And if you are unsure, you just need to ask, okay? Okay,
Let's go, my people. We can do it. Kia, is that you trying to answer the question already? Are you done? Let's hear from Kia. I know my people are on fire. Hi, Kia.
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Ma'am, x. The equation is 2 times 5, which is equal to 10. Then 10 plus 4 is equal to 14.
Well done. Okay, that's excellent. So your x value here, are you telling me is equal to 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Well done. Excellent, guys. So if we want to go and solve this, again, look at where your x is. There's x. And what we can see is that x has been multiplied by 2 and it's having 4 added to it. Now, the second we start adding more and more operations, we want to try and eliminate work for ourselves. Okay, so the first thing that we always want to try and deal with is anything that's being added or subtracted first. So deal with anything added or subtracted first. So what that means is I'm going to deal with this plus 4 to start with. So I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So that means I've got 2x is equal to 14 minus 4. Now I know what 14 minus 4 is. That's 10. Once I've dealt with what's being added or subtracted, then I can deal with, oh, my writing's gone horribly badly, whatever is being multiplied or divided. And so in this case, I've got 2 times the x, so my inverse operation needs to be division. 2 divided by 2, we know just gives us the 1. And so if I now go and write down my answer, I've got x is equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5, which Kia correctly told us is our value for x.
Woo! Well done, my people.
Well done, guys. Excellent. Okay, I think you've all earned a well-deserved brain break, which I need to find.
Before, Lungile, is that a question?
Yes. Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that where do you get the 10 in the sum?
Okay, so the 10 came from subtracting 4 on both sides. So I use my inverse operations to essentially get rid of the plus 4, and so I subtracted 4 on both sides, and 14 minus 4 is 10.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good.
Nice, Lungile. Okay, Neo, we're taking you now. Let's go, Neo. Ask your question.
Sorry, ma'am, it was by mistake.
Oh, okay, no problem, Neo. Let's do our brain break. Teacher Sam has given us the break, guys.
All right. Okay, here's our brain break. So how many squares do I have in this image?
While we're busy answering that, Geraldine, I just would like to say that this is the start of the topic. So don't worry so much, and please do raise your hand, okay, whenever you get stuck so you can get help. And sometimes all of us have different ways of learning. We might have to listen to the recording like a few times until we get the things. So just don't worry and pat yourself at the back, okay? Well done, guys. I'm proud of all of you. So just remember that you will do best always.
Okay, guys, I'm seeing a lot of 9s. Now, I definitely agree there are 9 squares, but how many are there in total? Remember, the square doesn't necessarily have to just be the small block. I hope I threw a spanner in the works there.
Okay, SM, do you want to answer? Yeah, all yours.
Ma'am, I wanted to say that there is 10 squares in total, including the outside box.
Okay, so let's see. So we've got one. I don't know how, you probably can't see that. I've made poor choices here in my color. Right. One moment. So sorry, everyone. Okay, let's try this. So we've got the one big one. We've got the 3, 6, 9 small ones. So I've got the one big, the 9 small ones. Now let's have a look at what else we have going on here. I've got another square over there. I've got another square over there. I have another square over there and another square over there. So that's another 4. And then, do I have any more squares? No, those are all of my squares. So if I add this up, I've got 14 squares.
Woo! Well done, my people.
Okay, so there was
Thank
some
you, Esam, for
overlaps.
trying.
Yeah, well done. And well done on seeing the big square. Sometimes we actually just miss the big one.
Yeah, many of
done,
them
everyone.
did get the 14. Well done, my people.
And guys, again, like if you don't get these, don't stress. It's just, I just threw my pen. I'm so sorry. It's just to get your brains working. Okay, I am listening.
So I'm saying you can go ahead.
Sorry.
Ma'am, like, how come did the squares become 14? Because the 9, ma'am, like,
Okay,
It's
very
just-
quickly. 1, 2, 3. So we've got 9 little ones. We've got one big one. But then what we need to be careful of is that they can actually overlap. So this is a square. So that's another one. So that's now 10, 11, 12. Okay. So like there's overlaps that we need to be careful of.
Tavi saying is shocked. That's why it's called a brain break. Tavi saying you'll be fine.
Well done, guys. Okay, so let's go back to these fun equations. Whoops. Okay, question 5. So I'm going to help you a little bit with this one because we've got a negative coefficient. Now remember, guys, a coefficient is the number sitting in front of the variable that's being multiplied with the variable. So remember I said in the last question, the first thing that we want to deal with is anything that's being added or subtracted. So I am going to first subtract 3 on both sides. So that will give me 5x is equal to 23 minus 3, because I want to deal with this 3 that's being added here. And what I do on one side of my equation, I must do on the other side of the equation. Now we know 23 minus 3 is 20. So I can just make that a little bit easier for myself. And then the second thing I deal with is anything that's being added or subtracted. So we spoke about the fact that this is actually minus 5 times x. So my inverse operation is to divide by minus 5 if it was originally being multiplied. Now that's wonderful because we know minus 5 divided by minus 5 is actually just 1. So I've got my x there. But remember, what we do on one side of the equation, we need to do on the other side. Now, this is where we need to be careful because what happens, let's see, quick sticks in the chat. What happens when I divide a positive by a negative? What sign should my answer be if I've got a positive divided by a negative? Well done, everyone. Good, well done. Negative. So this is negative 4. And so that is my answer for x. And I know I'm done because I've got that x alone, right? As June said earlier, the whole point is to solve for that unknown value. And so because I've got just x, I know what my unknown value is now. Well done, everyone.
Okay, we have Tavi saying for a question. Tavi saying, can you unmute?
Okay. Ma'am, there you wrote negative 5x equals to 20. And then underneath, I don't know what you wrote, 75 or...
Okay, so underneath, sorry, let me just write it a bit neater. So underneath what I said was if I've got, oh, now I've taken everything off. If I've got minus 5x equals 20, what I now want to do is I want to divide both sides by -5 so that I can get the x alone. So what I did was I divided that by -5 and that by -5. Now, what happens when I do that is the -5 and the -5 essentially cancel each other out, leaving me with just the x that I want. And then we just spoke about the 20 divided by -5, and that gives me -4. Does that make a bit more sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mom.
Geraldine, pleasure. Geraldine, I see your question. What aren't you understanding about the equation? Can you maybe put up your hand and try and explain to me what's tripping you up?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I just really don't understand how we got to the answer -4. Can you please explain this equation to me again? Because I really don't understand.
Okay, do you understand this first step here? Do you understand why I subtracted 3?
Yes.
Okay, then do you understand the second step over here of why I divided by -5?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. So we know where we got the -5x and the 20. Now, what I want to do, okay, me and this pen. What I want to do is I want to get x alone. So this is what I want to get alone because I want to solve for x. In order for me to do that, I need to remember that what I have in this step is -5 times x is equal to 20. Now, if I want to get x alone, essentially what I want to do is get rid of that times -5. And the only way I can get rid of it is to divide by -5. Because remember, -5 divided by -5 is actually just 1. They essentially cancel each other out. And so I'm left with just that x. But because it's an equation, they have to stay the same on both sides. I need to do the same thing on both sides. I also need to divide the 20 by -5. And so that is where I got x equals -4 from. Geraldine, does that make a bit more sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Okay, guys, well done. You are doing so well with this.
I think there's one more question from June. June,
Cool.
we are all yours.
Okay, ma'am. Can I ask one question? Is it gonna be tricky for me, like if I leave the negative and continue with 5x plus 3?
What happened to what have you done with the negative?
I just put it to the side.
No,
And
so
then when I started dividing, that's when I started to put the negative.
okay, so we can't really just ignore the negative. We need to like keep it with the term. The only thing you could do here if you wanted to is to say from the start the fact that you don't like the negative. And so what you could do from the start is you could say, okay, well, if I don't like the negative, then I'm essentially going to times everything by a -1, because what that does, a negative times a negative is a positive. So now you have positive 5x, but then all the other signs change. Whoopsie daisies. And then you can sort of ignore the negative, but we can't just leave it on the side. We have to deal with it together.
Okay, ma'am, I understand now.
Okay, good. Well done. I don't want to confuse anyone, so I'm just going to take that off. Okay, I do see there's some other questions, but I'm just going to put up question 6, which I want you guys to try while I answer some other questions where I see some hands up here.
Neo, we are all yours.
Ma'am, at question 5, can I ask how? At question 5, can I ask how did you get 20 at -5 times x?
So how did I get this thing over here?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just from the question. So I've just kept that original term in the question in my next step. Because remember, I said the first thing I'm going to deal with is the +3. I'll deal with the -5 just now. So it's just stayed there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we have Charlotte. Charlotte, we are all yours. You can click on what you see on your screen. There we go.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, I only wanted to ask that. So, ma'am, if is -5x equals to 20, so did you multiply it or subtract it to get x equals to -4?
I divided by -5 because remember we said we need to do the opposite. So if it was -5 times x, the opposite of that is to divide by -5. So in order to get that -4, I divided by -5 because I have to use the inverse operation.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Okay, Tandy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, girl.
I'm stuck by the 6th question.
Okay, cool. So well, let me ask, where are you stuck?
The last part where you get the answer.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad it's at the last part. So let's have a look, guys. If we've got 3x minus 2 equals -8, so as I've just said in my explanation for the last one, the first thing I want to deal with is whatever is being added or subtracted. So here, I'm going to deal with this -2 first. So what that means is I need to use the opposite operation. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to add 2 on both sides. Okay, now if you want to write that out, that's absolutely fine. You can also do -8 plus 2 in your heads. But now I've got 3x is equal to -8 plus 2. Now, we know that -8 plus 2 gives me a -6. And if you are struggling, remember, use those number lines. My brain has just stopped working. Now, from this point, I want to deal with the multiplication. So remember, between the x and the 3, there's a multiplication. The opposite of multiplication, division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That essentially gets rid of the coefficient. And so what I'm left with, Tandy, do you maybe want to tell me what the answer is now?
It's 2.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Well done.
Well done, Tandy.
You know what I did? I took out the negative by the -8. I didn't see it. So I got 8 plus 2 and I got 10. That's why I was confused.
Okay, but well done on being able to go back into your work and figuring out where you went wrong. That's part of this
amazing.
process. Well done. Okay, guys, well done, everyone. All my -2s. And remember, guys, if you want to, you sub it back in and you check that your answer is correct. Okay, we've got a nice check for equation, so we've got to use it.
Okay, Gia.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ma'am, I did it a little bit differently.
Okay, how did you do it?
I said 3 minus 9, which is equal to -6. And then I said -2, which is equal to -8.
Where did you get the 9 from?
I thought of 9.
Okay, so just be careful. We can't just think of numbers to use in our equations. We actually need to try and solve it using our inverse operations. So in that case, I'm not sure if you got the same answer then. And so we need to just be doing it with these inverse operations as we solve equations. With the nice, easy equations that we started off in the beginning, you can sort of guess what the answer is because it's an easier equation. But when we start getting to these slightly harder equations, we need to be very careful of what operations we're using.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
But we're going to keep practicing this.
Oh, I have one more question. Sorry,
Okay.
Teacher Sam.
No, that's cool.
I cannot say. Yeah, it's 53940334. You can unmute yourself on your side. And please do give me your name always so that I can change it to your name that you want us to call you with. But well done, my people. I'm so proud of you. Hello.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Ma'am, I don't understand question 6. Can you please explain it again?
Okay, so do you understand the step over here where we added 2 on both sides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you understand the step here where we divided by 3 on both sides?
No, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So from the second step, if we say -8 plus 2, we get a -6. Okay, that's just from addition. Now, the thing that I want to deal with is sorry, I'll write it back in now. I want to deal with this 3 because I want x alone. I don't want 3x, I want x. So what that means is I need to figure out how to essentially get rid of that 3. Now, the only way I can get rid of the 3 is to do the inverse operation. So remember, there's a times in between the 3 and the x, which means the opposite of that is to divide. Now, if I think about this, 3 divided by 3 is 1. It essentially just falls away, it cancels out. And so what I'm left with is x, but I have to remember to divide by 3 on the other side of my equation because my equation must stay balanced. And -6 divided by +3 is a -2. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am, it does. Thank you.
Good, well done.